preparation for flexible presentations. We've all had the experience of finding out just before we start our presentation that the schedule has changed and we no longer have as much time as we had planned. Or we have a different audience than we expected, or some other variable has changed. So there we are, ready to go, and the presentation we had planned no longer fits as well as it should. Now what? Talk faster? Just randomly skip parts? Beg forgiveness and go ahead as planned? Well, none of these options are really acceptable. So what can we do to avoid these situations? We can build flexibility into our presentation through a concept called layering. That way, when things change, so can we. Layering is a method of using your visuals, your handouts, and your words as separate components that each serve a different purpose. They're each used in a slightly different way to help you deliver your message. This method of creating a presentation lets you drill down to the depth you need for the audience you have and the delivery time frame you're given. When you have created a layered presentation, you can choose, on the fly, the amount of detail you'll give to each of your topics. Then you simply determine what is needed at the time and make adjustments. In other words, layering your presentation lets you choose the level of detail appropriate to each delivery. It helps prevent data dumping, rushing through more details than your audience can absorb in your allotted time frame. And it lets you adjust your delivery as you go depending on the audience reaction to your information. Let's take a quick look at the various layers. Your visuals are what you display for your audience. They may include PowerPoint slides or charts. They could also be samples of products that you have with you, or they might be illustrations, photos, graphs, data, or important text material. Using visuals lets you control exactly what you want your audience to see, when you want them to see it. That way, you focus their attention on one specific topic, then change that focus as you move on to whatever is next. Let's look at another layer. Your handouts are information that is too detailed to project or hold up in front of the group. Anything with lots of text, multiple components, or complex data should be delivered using a handout. Projecting or holding up something and then saying, "You probably can't read this, but," is not good for your credibility. Simply put, if it's too busy, too small, or too full of information to display as a visual, it should be delivered as a handout. You can also create a simplified version as a visual, like an outline or a very basic graph showing the trends, then distribute the actual document to go into more detail. That way, if you're pressed for time or your audience is more knowledgeable than you expected, you can always use the simplified visual and give out the handout as a takeaway. Then the audience can review the details as needed at a later time. The final layer of your presentations is what you will actually say to your audience. What you say brings your presentation to life. Your words make the connection between your information and your audience. It's best to keep your verbiage interesting and short. Keep your sentences well-formed and use positive terms such as "and" instead of "but," and "when" instead of "if." Be objective, avoiding jargon and terms that might confuse your listeners. To help you remember what you want to say, determine the key information you want to cover. Make notes and jot down specific phrases that are critical to make your points. Don't create a word-for-word script and try to memorize it. If you lose your place in a memorized script, you're really lost. And memorizing word for word can make you inflexible. You want to be in command of your information, yet able to deliver it naturally. So, plan carefully as you create your presentations. Create your layer, visuals, handouts, and spoken words to serve different purposes. Then choose which layers you need for your specific audience and your given time frame. Layering your information will give you the flexibility to deliver a memorable and effective presentation every time. Thanks for using Communispond's Learn to Layer Information for Flexible Presentations. For more information about Communispond's products and services, check our website at www.communispond.com.